In time, she told herself, he would recognise that for the wonderful thing it was. In time, he would give up his courtship of Miss Sophia Kilchrest and move on to higher pastures, as it were. Sure, he'd been lured, like so many others, by Miss Kilchrest's lovely face and fine figure. He'd been pulled in by her flawless manners and twinkling eyes. He'd even found a bit of motivation in the dowry she'd bring with her, though to his credit, he'd not mentioned that but once, and even then as an offhand observation. And, Alice had noted, having set his mind on the pursuit of such a highly prized treasure, Isaac had taken on a certain single-mindedness where Miss Kilchrest was concerned. Alice doubted he gave his pursuit much thought of late. He simply continued because it was a goal he'd worked on so long. "Do you plan to keep making this walk after the snows come?" Alice asked, praying and hoping and feeling generally quite desperate that he would.
"I don't plan to give over the progress I've made with Miss Kilchrest, if that's what you mean."
'Twas not in the smallest bit what she meant. But life had taught her that men could be terribly thick-headed, and a woman had no real choice but to be patient with them. "Are you making progress, then?" Isaac nodded.
"She spoke to me quite particularly the last few weekends, though the other men vying for her attention were ready to rip me apart over it."
"And men enjoy that, do they? The look of violent loathing in the eyes of another man?"
Isaac grinned. "Indeed."
I will never understand men. Was it the loathing and the sense of victory Isaac liked, or was it the attentions from Miss Kilchrest? Surely he was intelligent enough not to court a woman simply out of pride. "And what did you talk about during this jealousy-inducing conversation with Miss Kilchrest?" He buttoned his coat against the growing wind as they continued down the road.
"She spoke of her friends and fashion and the weather."
"Fascinating." Alice only just kept her tone less dry than she felt the comment deserved. He laughed a little.
"She and I aren't the friends that you and I are. We've not endless topics to discuss yet."
"So stop trying to converse with her and start spending more time with me." She'd convince him one day. She swore she would. He'd realise Sophia Kilchrest was not for him. More important still, he'd realise she absolutely was.
"Can I let you in on a secret?"
he asked. Alice couldn't help a smile. He'd shared secrets with her before. Sometimes 'twas nothing more than a teasing story, though on a few occasions he'd told her of plans he had for his home and land. He told her personal things, important things she felt certain he hadn't told Miss Kilchrest. He'd piece it together. He'd realise in time she was his match and not the belle of Cavan. "What's the secret?" she asked.
"This weekend in Cavan," he said, earnest excitement in his voice. "I mean to ask Miss Kilchrest if she'll consider me her exclusive suitor. I mean to see to it we're on the firm path toward making her my bride."
With that declaration, Alice Wheatley's world ended.
Chapter 2. Isaac would never, as long as he lived, understand the female mind. He'd told Alice of his plans to move quite seriously forward with Miss Kilchrest. Rather than offer immediate congratulations or encouragement, she'd looked shocked. Shocked? How could she have been even a little surprised? They'd spoken of his pursuit of Miss Kilchrest nearly every weekend since he'd first crossed Alice's path some 4 months earlier. She knew as much about his plans and thoughts as anyone on earth, more even, and yet she clearly hadn't expected his declaration. Women will never make the least sense.
They reached Market Square, where the weekly crowd of men gathered to jostle for position alongside Miss Kilchrest as she wandered about the vendors' tables. Over the months Isaac had been at the task of courting her, he'd planned out his efforts quite meticulously. Those plans seldom needed review or second thoughts. Alice, on the other hand, was near constantly throwing his understanding of her entirely out the window. "Have we made good time?" Alice asked that question every Saturday as they came into Cavan Town. She needed a timepiece of her own, she did. He checked his pocket watch. "'Tis only just noon. You've time to reach your grandparents' house for luncheon." Her nod was one of relief. "Have they taken a turn for the worse?" She'd spoken often of her grandparents and their failing health. They were the reason she returned to Cavan every weekend, to take over from a cousin the task of caring for them. "No more than expected. They're growing old fast is all." She gave him a sad smile.